Little sharpening with a Kershaw shuffle. First thing to keep in mind about a knife like this is it's cheap for a reason. It's cheap steel, and so it's only going to get so sharp, right? It's not biting there, but that first cut actually didn't look too bad. So it's not shaven hair sharp, but it is somewhat sharp there. So what we want to do is get it to shave hair and not just scrape away dry skin, right? All right, so throw it in there. Lock it down. And we're going to go ahead and start with the 250. Put a little Sharpie on here so we know when we've gotten to our edge. I usually do both sides like that. Now I've already set this up. I was sharpening on this earlier before I tore into some boxes with it. So it should be at the right angle if I clamped it in a similar fashion. So we put the Sharpie on, we take a few strokes and see if we've taken that Sharpie off all the way to the edge, which we have. Okay, so let's see if we can show you that. See, the Sharpie's removed all the way to the edge. So that's the first thing you look for, is to see that you've got the Sharpie away from the edge. And so then we know we've got our angle. We can just go to work removing as much of that metal as possible. Well, that's not quite what we want to do really, but you get the idea. We want to remove some metal. What we're looking for is to create a burr. I've got a burr right there, but not so much on the rest of that. So the heel is good. Work on the rest of the knife here. Now we've got the burr all the way across. Flip it over and do the same thing. Remove the burr. Create a burr on the other side. Again, we're dealing with some pretty cheap metal here. It's soft, it's easy to sharpen. One of the great things about a cheap knife. But it's going to lose its edge fast too. Now we've got our burr, we're just going to remove the burr. Use as much of the stone as possible. Start at the top of the stone, move down as you move across. Same thing on this side. Top of the stone, down and across the stone. So we're moving up on the knife. And one or two more on this side. All right, so now we've got a pretty good working edge on this knife. 250 grit. You can see already it's cutting better, it's grabbing when we want it to. It's a better edge already. Will it shave hair? Yes, it's even shaving hair, though it is grabbing a little bit. So we can refine it. Don't hit your blade like I just did there. So we move up with a 400. Give it a few refining strokes. Before we move up, we'll go ahead and test it once again. And when you're testing, test the whole length of the blade. So we start at the heel. Move all the way down, see if it's catching anywhere. It's not, so we can go ahead and move on up. Do a 600. And you decide where you want to stop. 600 may be sufficient for the blade. You may not need to go up to a 1200. Heck, you might want to just stop at the 250 if that's cutting for you and it's doing what you want it to do. A little bit toothier on a microscopic level, but it'll cut. As you saw, it was cutting hair. And a Kershaw shuffle or any similar blade that is cheap blade steel is not going to get your ultimate sharpness. It just isn't going to do it because of the steel, but that's doing pretty good. And certainly shaving hair. So again, you could go up to the 1200 if you wanted to, but for my purposes, that's sharp enough.